going on, Jeromes? Beautiful day for some Q&A. Thank you, everyone who submitted questions. Periodically, we'll put out a call out for questions in the community tab, and it'll pop up. So thank you, everyone who chucks in some questions. First up, Logan Sport. What would it take for Cine to actually make the final rooster? A couple really good practices, dominating the preseason, or is he just destined to get cut practice squad at this point? I just don't see a way that he's on the 53. And part of it is lack of production from him, as well as the numbers game ahead of him, because you're not going to carry six safeties, right? Even though the Vikings use multiple safeties. But it's Metellus, Beasley, Harrison, Theo Jackson, Kariama, Jayward's son, I think are locks for the roster. I think Bobby McCain may work his way in there on the practice squad as well. And I just don't see a scenario where Cine makes the 53 minus, things that we don't want to talk about. But here's my prediction. So Lewis Cine and Andrew Booth Jr. are both working with threes right now. It is what it is. But I think that you're going to hear all of a sudden, like maybe some anonymous sources say that Lewis Cine is starting to get things together. And maybe one of the coaches says something positive in a presser, just puts it out there to the media. Maybe Lewis Cine plays some extended snaps in preseason with the threes and maybe even the twos, just to get a little showcase, just to put a little tape out there. And then all of a sudden, you get that trade offer. Conditional 7th round pick, conditional 6th round pick, a late round pick swap. I think that's where the Vikings are at. Although I think as part of the trade, the Vikings will probably have to eat his salary. I just don't see a team coming in, giving up draft capital, and paying the remaining 2 years of his salary fully guaranteed. I just don't see that. So, but either way, yeah, seems like a good kid, and just didn't work out. Injuries really marred his career. On top of the fractured leg, he was injured in training camp and sort of put him behind the 8 ball this year, last year, the year before. So I think it's over. Next, Violet Valkyrie. How underrated do you think Sam Darnold is, and do you think he will start for the entire season? Well, again, as a quasi-USC fan, his redshirt freshman season was one of the most impressive college football seasons for a quarterback that we've seen in the last couple decades. And it really is a nature versus nurture thing, where nurture environment, he went to the Jets, and he had to start right away for the Jets. And the Jets are bad. And the Jets had Adam Gase. And they went to the Panthers. The Panthers had Matt Rule. He was just in bad spots. I think last year, and we said this 17,000 times, I think last year being around competent coaches and competent talent was fantastic for him. And I think that's why he's really getting a leg up this year with the Vikings. And he started out a little slow in training camp, but looked good in OTAs, looked good in mandatory minicamp, and last 4 practices, he's been dynamite. Frankly, him and Jefferson look really damn good. And he was the number 3 overall pick for a reason. And I mean, could he go all Jim Plunkett on the bit? Could he go all Rich Gannon on the bit? Could he go Baker and Geno Smith on the bit? Sure. I think that he certainly could have a career renaissance here in Minnesota. And if you can't win here, it's not going to happen, because they got all the weapons, they got all the tools, they got everything. They got everything you need, man. No worries. Next up, OG Jerome, Ryan Nuwazada. Nailed it. Aloha, Andy. Aloha means hello and goodbye. Do you see Coach Flores winning a Super Bowl as the Vikings defensive coordinator? So here's what I see happening. I think Flores will be here for 2 more years. And I think that the league is going to see how the whole lawsuit thing plays out. But I think Flores is going to turn this defense into such a good unit that they can't ignore it. And Flores is a true leader of men. Love having him here with the Vikings, but of course he does deserve a head coaching job again at some point. Now, so basically the question is, do you see the Vikings winning a Super Bowl in the next 2 years? Of course, dozen in 12 or dozen in 10. But if the Vikings don't, I could see Flores leaving the framework of his defense in place, obviously, one of the younger units in the league, and then the Vikings potentially winning with his successor, whether it's Patton takes over on defense, maybe Durante Jones takes Vikings DB coach takes over as play calling defensive coordinator if he doesn't go with Flores, if Flores gets a head coaching job. So that's probably where we're at. But I mean, obviously it would be unfair to him, but if he was here for the long haul, say 4, 5, 6 years, I think that this could be the best defense in the league. I firmly believe that. Next, Petty with Love. Do you think that Brian Asamoah or Andrew Booth Jr. will make the 53, or is making any kind of impact in camp? I haven't heard much. So Booth, like we said, has been with the threes. Asamoah pretty firmly has been the second team off-ball linebacker with Kamu Grugier-Hill, the linebacker / kicker. I know that Coach Daniels playing his cards close to the chest of what he wants to do, but on the kickoff. But I would love to see a position player playing kicker, because the kicker is going to be involved in more tackles than the old rules. So Kamu, who has 7 career kickoffs, by the way, just getting it. Anyways, but with Asamoah, so Asamoah's definitely had a chip, man. And I love seeing him healthy. That's been his issue the first 2 years. But when he's been on the field, like, there's been sparks. Like, 34, 24, and now 2. Like, he's been fantastic when he's been out there. But health has been an issue. And also, the rise of Ivan Pace Jr., the signing of Cashman, has sort of put a crimp in the plans. But Asamoah, he's going to play great special teams. And he's been chirping in training. Like, he's John with Justin Jefferson. I mean, he gave Johnny Munta a shot on the sidelines that almost caused a little bit of a scuffle. But either way, like, I think that Asamoah, if he can stay healthy, like, I love him as a sub-package linebacker and a guy that can contribute and make the 53. Lastly, Twisted Wizard. I should come on up for the Risner. Dalton Risner would be the obvious choice for starting left guard. Not necessarily. So, the Vikings' first-team offensive line looked really damn good on Wednesday in practice number 11 against the first-team defense. Generally, it was ones against ones on Wednesday. And I understand that they want to give Ed Ingram every single chance possible to win the right guard spot because they sunk a second-round pick into him, and he's been a 2-year starter. And I understand they want Blake Brandel to win the left guard job because they gave him in the contract the 3-year deal, $9.5 million, $4.75 million guaranteed, before they signed Risner back to a very minuscule deal. So I think that's what they want to do right now. So I would like to hang on to Risner. I understand if they would shop him around at the 53-man cutdowns, because there's going to be a lot of teams with attrition that would need a starting caliber guard, and Dalton Risner is that. But I would love to have him around just for veteran depth, as well as, if Ed Ingram or Blake Brandel all of a sudden start shatting the bed, they have a viable option to replace him, as opposed to just a run-of-the-mill backup. So I don't think that he's going to start. I mean, the fact that the Vikings have not rotated at all in terms of the first-team offensive line, from what I've seen at camp in 11-on-11s, I think that's pretty noteworthy. And I just don't see Brandel or Ingram losing their spots as of right now. All right. So, but either way, hang on to Risner and then see what happens. But that's it. That's at Q&A for this wonderful, wonderful Thursday. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skull production value.